Since I have started my photography journey, I have participated in about 6 or 7 portfolio reviews. Some of them went pretty well, and some of them went pretty badly. So now I have developed a 3-step system for myself on how I can prepare the best for each portfolio review to get the most out of it. And today I'm going to share my system with you. Within the system, we're going to go through several steps and we're going to ask some questions. We're going to ask, how do you find your ideal goal for the portfolio review? How do you prepare best for a specific reviewer? What makes a good portfolio? What format should you be presenting your portfolio in? And what should you say to the reviewer while you are presenting? So let's get started with the 3 steps. So step 1 in the system is to find out about your own goals. So there is no point to participate in a portfolio review unless you know your own specific goals that you are aiming at. So there are a couple of questions that can help you figure out what your current goals are. So the first question that I ask myself is, what are my current goals for my career? This is an overall high-level question that prompts you to think about where are you heading right now and at what stage are you currently and where do you want to go to. So examples of this are, I'm looking to create an exhibition. I am looking for a gallerist to represent me. I want to publish my work in a magazine. I want to get assignments for magazines to go out and shoot new work for them. I want to get into an agency and be represented by an agent. I want to make a photo book, or I want to win some photo prizes and get my work out there into the world. So kind of define for yourself which of these is currently relevant to you, where you are, and what do you want to achieve? The next question within that first step of defining your goals is to ask yourself, do I have a body of work and do I have a specific goal for that body of work? So let's say you have worked on a project for the past couple of years. Like I have worked on a project for the past year. You have your high-level goals for your career, but maybe you have a very specific goal for that particular body of work. So ask yourself, what is that? It could be that you need some feedback to figure out how you need to continue shooting this work. It could be that you are looking for somebody to help you edit the sequence of the work. Are you feeling stuck and you maybe need some advice on the specific body of work? Or are you at the stage where you say, oh, I'm actually finished with this series and I need some contacts to pitch this work to? Where would this particular body of work fit in within the industry? So go through the list of questions as pertaining to this specific piece of work and ask yourself, like, what is the next logical step and how can you discuss this with the reviewer in your portfolio review? And the last part within step 1 is to ask the question, what would be your ideal outcome for this portfolio review? So this kind of brings question 1 of what is your career goal and question 2, what is your goal for this specific piece of work together and defines your ideal outcome. And I can recommend you to write it down for yourself. Let's stick with the example of my work. My ideal outcome for the last portfolio review was to have this piece of work published in a magazine. This is the goal that I'm aiming at while I'm going through the rest of my preparations, and I'm keeping that in the back of my mind also while I'm talking to the reviewer to kind of stir the conversation in that direction. So once you have completed step 1 and you have your current career goals top of mind, you have the goal for your specific piece of work, and you have an ideal outcome, you can go on to the next step, and that is to understand your reviewer. So most of the times that we go into a portfolio review, that I go into portfolio review, I kind of know who my reviewer is going to be. Sometimes you have like blind reviews and you know there's going to be a pool of people. So then the step applies to the entire pool. But more usually, you have the situation that you are going to be talking to one specific person. Say you're going to present your portfolio to an agency because you want them to represent you. So you know who you are going to talk to, or at least you know you're going to be talking to a representative of that agency. If you're going to a publisher, you're talking to the publisher. If you are going to a magazine, you kind of can research who are the people in charge of pictures for that magazine. So you know who you're going to be talking to. But do you actually know? And this is where 3 steps come in with preparing in terms of who you're going to be talking to. And the first thing you're going to do within step 2 of the system is to properly research your reviewer. So you're going to go on LinkedIn, or you're going to hop on Google and you're going to be typing in their name and you're going to be searching who that person is. What were their previous jobs or roles? What are they currently in charge of? And you're going to ask yourself, like, who are they? What is their expertise? What are their motivations? And what are their goals? So are they trying to find new talent? Are they trying to publish a new series? Are they trying to find somebody to shoot a specific project? Are they looking for trends? So the better you know the reviewer, the better you can tailor and prepare your own portfolio to that specific person, and also prepare your questions, because the more you know, the better you can be prepared. And that is also true for asking yourself, what is the framework or what is the occasion that this portfolio review is happening in? Did you request this portfolio review? Are you paying for this portfolio review? Is it happening as part of a prize where you just get a portfolio review? The better you understand that kind of situation where it's happening, the better you can also prepare for how it's gonna go. And the last point within step 2, understanding the reviewer, is going to be to ask yourself, how can this specific reviewer help me with my current goals? So you're gonna sit down and you're gonna brainstorm, how can they specifically help you? Can you maybe ask them for some context? Can you ask them some specific questions that only this person, this reviewer, can answer? Or are they maybe super equipped because maybe they see a lot of photography series every day within their job? Are they maybe super equipped to help you edit a coherent sequence, edit your work in a way that can bring you forward for the next step in your whatever the next step for you is? Before we go on to the next part, step 3, I'm going to ask you to, if you find this video helpful and interesting, please give it a little like down below. And if you want to see more content like this one, please subscribe to the channel so I know what video to make next for you. So you defined within step 1 your career goals. You defined your goals for your specific pieces of work that you are currently working on. You have found what your ideal outcome for this specific portfolio review would be. You have researched thoroughly your reviewer and you have prepared questions that only they can answer. And now we're going on to step 3, which is to create your portfolio. The first point within that is to remind myself of the basic rules of a good portfolio that you can present in a portfolio review. And that is to limit your work to 30 photographs. I mean, if it's 35, let's not be too picky about it, but 30 images is a good number for a portfolio review that you can actually get through. And if you have dedicated series or bodies of work, don't present more than 2 bodies of work at a time. And why is this so important? Usually you have a limited amount of time with your reviewer. It can go from as short as 10 minutes to somewhere of around half an hour, which is basically kind of the longest review I have ever been to. So somewhere in between that. And if you have too many photos, you're gonna be overwhelming your reviewer and you're not really gonna get to ask those very important questions and go deep into your work. You're gonna stay surface level with everything. You're gonna confuse them. It's gonna be too many images, too much input, and you're not gonna really get anywhere in that review. So it's better to do multiple reviews if you have so much that you want to present. But for one specific review, it's best to limit yourself. So next, there's going to be the contentious question of what format you're going to present your portfolio in. I would say there are two camps out there. Some say it's okay to present it in a digital way, and they usually would present it on a tablet where you can, we're living in a digital age, so you just swipe your way through the images. I have even talked to some colleagues who say they present from a laptop, but then I have heard from a lot of reviewers that they are staring at a laptop all day long and they don't really prefer to see your work on a laptop. They'd rather see it either on a, nice little tablet where there's no other distractions, or, and this is actually my preferred way, is to present your portfolio in an analog printed way. So there are tons of advantages to presenting in an analog way. You can spread the work on the table. You can, develop a better feeling to the work because you're actually touching it and you're, changing the pages, you're moving things around. You can impress somebody also with the quality of your prints. It makes the work literally more tangible, and if it's more tangible, they can imagine it in many more contexts. So they can imagine it being printed in a magazine. They can imagine it as a print on a gallery wall. Maybe if you are presenting, let's say, to an agency or to get some gigs, it's not as important to have that tangible feel, but I would still argue that you can impress way more portfolio reviewers with an analog printed portfolio than you can impress and distinguish yourself with a digital one. I personally have printed on a smaller format so people can spread it around on their table and they're not having to deal with like giant prints. You can go through these together. They're in a square format actually, because I shoot in landscape mode and in portrait mode, and I want to present those pictures kind of equally and not have them to switch directions, if you know what I mean. This is what works for my work personally at the moment, but I would definitely advise you to adjust it to whatever your work currently is and what format fits you and your work, and also what you can afford to print, which size can you afford to print. And the next crucial step within creating your portfolio, once you have, decided on the sequence, which bodies of work or single images you're going to present, you are going to put them together and you're going to have a sequence. And then you're going to develop a story that you need to tell to the portfolio reviewer while you are showing the work. Because, sometimes you can get away with not talking much and just letting them take the work in. But especially in contexts where you're trying to get into an agency or you are trying to get somebody to give you work in the future, you want to be storytelling while showing your portfolio. And that doesn't mean that you have to have an actual story, a beginning, a middle, and an end, in terms of you're not telling a tale necessarily, unless each picture maybe has a tale to tell, and then you're gonna talk about that. But it's more about the flow and coming from one picture to the next, or from one chapter in your work to the next. That could be talking about your methods of working. That could be talking about your interests, what motivated you to start this work, How did you feel while you were shooting this? What people did you meet? What stories did they tell you? Are there some anecdotes, some funny things within that? Are there some sad things? So you're going to evoke a feeling and create a flow for the other person. And a tip that I can give you for that is to actually rehearse that beforehand with a friend, a colleague, or a family member, or even by yourself. Just, take your phone and record yourself and talk to yourself. Talk yourself through the sequence and through the work. So you will know what to say, when to say it, and there won't be any awkward silences. And also your character will come across, because when somebody is looking at your portfolio, they're not just looking at the images. They're trying to get to know you, to meet you, to understand who you are as a person and who you are as a photographer, and create, some kind of bond within that moment. And you can definitely make that bond stronger by telling a good story about your work and about yourself. So these are my 3 steps for today. If you like videos like this one, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And I will talk to you in my next one. Bye bye.